So he said, and the biggest driver in this workflow is speed. Okay? So how do we track all this stuff? Because we know we need to track stuff. And then they complicated it even more. They said, okay, we're bringing in radio, we're bringing in the web guys, we're bringing in all these other people who aren't natural broadcasters. They broadcast in different ways. And they don't share the same common culture. Yeah? If you're in film or broadcast, we have ways of talking about things that are common to us all, but the radio guys don't share it, and the web guys don't talk like that whatsoever, because they've never really used this stuff. But we had to bring all these platforms together. So we had to come up with a way of figuring it out. And your traditional man, Cat TV, wouldn't do it. And I've now got something like 13,000 users of Cat TV around the world over 12 years. So we've cracked a lot of workflows, but this is not one it would crack. So I had to go away and come up with a completely different approach. And the way I did it was, basically you can't alter the fundamentals. You need to put stuff in a folder, with a folder name, but what defines all these different people was actually the name of the show. So this could be 100 meters semi-final. Now that works for the Olympics. But it also works for most sports. You could have Arsenal v Liverpool. And the other thing that works is date. Date, location. These are incontestable metadata facts. You know, these are things we don't need to worry about because they always work. If you know where it was shot and when it was shot, you're in a good place. So many versions. Okay, the other big thing is in news, we constantly take what we have and we recycle it, we update it, we freshen it. So stuff that happens in the morning is refreshed with some new material that we get later in the day. So at the minute it would be Trump going into Trump Towers in the morning, and then Trump coming out of Trump Towers in the evening, and we will have new footage. But we basically, in news type organisations, we take what we have, we place a shot and move on. So my thinking had to have a different way of doing it. And so versioning, so the other big problem, so it never got any easier, was we had 300 freelancers coming through the door for the Olympics. Okay? Why? Because a big organisation can't afford to have everybody for these huge digital tsunamis. The Olympics is a massive spike in any host broadcaster. I've just come back from Rio, so it was Fox Sports who were doing it there. Well, it's a massive spike, and after the Olympics is gone, it goes back to London. So they bring in people from everywhere. And my joke was, if you could hold the mouse, you would get a job as an editor in Manchester for the Olympics, because we were that desperate for people. So they needed to be taught, as we mentioned earlier, in 5 minutes what the thing to do was, because we still needed to find it, we still needed to reversion it. Yeah? And it had to work. Because the Olympics, it just has to work. It's embarrassing. And I've shown you the BBC Director General apologising. So they dropped nearly 100 million. It was much more than that, not making it work, but they think I could make it work for, you know, I figure much. I'd have done it for 30 million, but no, it's only this figure. But I need to solve all the problems that they had when they dropped all this money on. Yeah? So I came up with this little interface. This is the whole of the interface. Now, I don't want to go into product so much here because we're talking about things. But the difference in this product from media asset management, this was project asset management. And it came earlier in the process. So what Focal Point does is it automatically gets some information from users. And what it's basically asking is, what department are you working for? What's the name of the show? And you're probably right. But we've had some embarrassments. We might have go there. But basically, it gets 5 pieces of information, which is all I require to track the whole thing, because I'm going to do it differently. So, if I get this information, essentially what I can do is, and this is the information, it says which department you're in, which outlet, name of the show, what's the sport, because we can find all the football or all the tennis or all the rugby. What type of show you're making, because I mentioned we were cross-platform. They filmed everything, the long thing, so that would be the whole game. But then we would take some bits for news, which would be an interview with the manager. Some cut-down version. There may be a longer version for radio, where they have a bit more time, and they would just have a longer thing because talk's cheap. And we took all that metadata and we turned it into acronyms. Down the bottom, the file name becomes a nomenclature chart. FGB, football, Euro, FGB, football, date stamp, it's a closer, the name of the item, and a version. Now, we know this works now because we've been running 6 years with it. And we know this takes me longer to talk about than to go boom, 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 bang. And what it does is it actually launches the program, it creates the folder structures, it creates folders underneath it, and it uses the project, whether it's the editing project, whether it's Photoshop, Cinema 4D, Final Cut 7, Final Cut 10, Avid, blah, blah, blah. It uses those projects track the media. Now what is this different? Well, in Captivity, or in any man, what you do is you basically bring in the media into the application. Later I can show you all this stuff if you're interested as well. We then make a metadata container, which is the name of the show, and we search the database for the name of the show. Here I do it completely differently because a project file, whether it's a Final Cut 7 project file or an Avid media file, can do the same thing for us. And what we do is in the database, we track all of the projects within the database. If I open up the project, I have the media. And that's what we do for the Olympics and the fast-moving places. We use the project data to reversion and move on, move on, move on. Now, it's much quicker because we're not asking the users to do it. They're editing, so it's quicker. And we do reversioning, so when you open up the last one, you get all the previous versions inside. In media, it's a complicated world. We do different versions for different regions, we do different versions for different time zones, all kinds of stuff. So this sort of approach is very different. I don't think there's any other product that does it this way. And we're able to find stuff in, I think, usually 2 or 3 clicks. Now what we find is everything, because in media, what we're looking for is the totality of the show. We're not looking for a specific asset like NASCAR were, when they wanted car crash lap 15 Indianapolis 500. But in the later work I've done, and if we get the internet working and what have you, I can show you, I've been able to use this basic to focal point to actually automatically pick up the media and put it in a browser, in a cloud-based browser, because I'm now working in cloud. And I can show you this also in the way. Search becomes pretty easy because it's essentially searching for the tags we got at the beginning. And it always works. So where does this sort of go? Okay, well we go back to my new understanding. We want all of this stuff. I'll get into those questions in a minute. And this is some of the new stuff we're putting in, where basically we try to use social media to get us some of this metadata. So social media is about talking. It fits very nicely with pre-production stages, where we have attributable ideas, what people are talking about. Because sometimes if you're doing, for instance, advertising, the treatment, how you decide to shoot something is as important as what you decide to shoot. Because you could make it all blurry, or you could be very arty with it. So you discuss the treatment a lot. So I put social media type things into it, and it's basically a blog. But then you can see on the right, you start to see tags. But other types of tags, not relating to production, but they allow us to search. Once they've decided to move forward, we call it, in our world, we call greenlighting the project. Projects go through different stages and processes. We talk a lot, then somebody decides it's a good idea to do it. As soon as they've decided that, they need to be an authority, so we have commissions. And we also attach a cost center to the production, because who's going to pay for this stuff? Basically, I'm saying in the media asset management world, we're the Wild West. We're like no other business in the world. If someone's delivering chairs to a warehouse, I have to sign for something. In the media world, no. You just throw it on the side. No one's tracking. No one knows what anybody does. So we're trying to put some business process into the management of this stuff. And we think that browsers, cloud-based things, because it's happening everywhere, how do we get everybody together? We're going to use browsers in the cloud. So all that's good. So a commission project becomes blah, blah, blah. And because we've got that metadata, we can ask them to use it. Now, archive is another vast subject, and I suspect that I'm running out of time. We need some questions. So I'll sort of park it there because archiving is quite a formal process. It's not as complicated, in my imagination anyway, as the media asset production process, because we have more time to do it. And that's just the biggest difference. And if we get all the tags and the information as we go along, we have a lot of metadata to put into the archive. And that will be a big aim to search. So I will let you ask me questions if you've got any. But it is a vast subject. And I don't mind answering questions on it. I've explained everything perfectly. No. I've reduced it to silence. No, ask me questions. Ashraf, ask a question. Please.
Is the focal point server acts as an ingest as well and archiving or just managing what's
Yeah, so if, again, we're grown-ups here. If you have an object can get inheritance from an object. So if you drag and drop media on, it actually tags all your assets with the tags we got at the beginning. So I can ask them, people will do this as a user, they will drag and drop all the time. They like doing it. It's a natural part of everything. If you drag and drop the media onto it, and it moves it to the right place, it creates proxies, it will add metadata to the database, and we could select for various things. It doesn't tell you what it is, that's another process. But it tells you it's associated with the topic. Everyone wants coffee. Yes. I know generally that everybody likes to eat all the time. Coffee all the time. We can, yes. I'm here for 2 days. If you can approach me, I'm approachable. And ask questions quietly, privately.
Excuse me, please. Yes, could we use reward mining to be the main centralized servers for centralized server in station or something, and it will save more of the servers, individual servers in each stage or something?
So, if you have an ingest server, okay, if we have 2K, HD, and various things like that, we cannot serve those files over the internet. We know the internet is small, the pipes aren't big enough. What we typically do is generate a streaming proxy. Now that streaming proxy again has the same time code, the same name typically. We can reassociate any metadata that we get making proxies, we can put our media everywhere. Most big organizations, whether it's Sony or IBM or anything, what they really want with their data is they want it to be what I call pervasive. Everywhere. They don't want to send an email to a guy in Australia to send me a video to London, because that takes too long. They would prefer to click on a browser, see what assets they had in Australia or South Africa, see the collective of the whole organization. They want that, because otherwise they don't know what they've got. And that's typical of the big organizations. People are creating stuff in Australia that they don't know about in New York. And really they're looking to have these bigger data silos so they don't duplicate work that's already been done, and they can reutilize it. If you see these assets, you'll be able to use it. So the big guys are looking for some sort of big cloud where they see all that stuff. They want their data to pervade the whole of the organization, because we don't know what we've got unless we bring it all together and centralize it. And that's another driver in the industry.
Thank you Dr. Kevin. معلش أي أسئلة تانية هنأجلها المحاضرة اللي جاية عشان خاطر نقدر نلتزم بالمواعيد والجدول ما يتلخبطش. في دلوقتي بريك هنطلع فوق في الدور الثاني، تمام؟